Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy, the dope ass dude, and I am so excited to be back with you all on tonight. I am really excited about my guest on tonight and everything that we're going to be talking about. So, you guys already know the preliminary things. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you don't mind going ahead, getting subscribed to the YouTube channel. And while you're there, click on subscribe notify so you can be notified each and every time a new podcast is uploaded to the site. And then while you're there, go ahead and click on like so that this podcast can be shared with others just like you. Now, you can always watch the podcast each and every Monday. You can catch it on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And again, that's Facebook, LinkedIn, X, and YouTube. And if you are on the go and you can't catch it on Monday nights, you can always listen to it on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And then just one more thing, you can always follow me on both Instagram and TikTok on both platforms. I'm the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. So that again, that's on IG and TikTok, the Dope Ass Dude Podcast. And then just a preliminary thing for Joni. If you want to follow Joni Journey, you can follow her on TikTok. On TikTok, she is Joannie Campbell EU. So again, that's Joannie Campbell EU. On Facebook, you can follow her at just Joannie Campbell. And then on Instagram, you can follow her at JRochelle40. So again, that's JRochelle40, and that's on Instagram. So let me get that one more time to you. TikTok, you can follow her, Joannie Campbell EU. Facebook, Joannie Campbell, and then on Instagram, JRochelle40. So I'm really excited about Joni being on the podcast tonight. I met her through my brother from another mother, and he shared with me a little bit of her journey and her story, and I knew instantly that this was someone that I needed to get on the podcast to talk about like life and talk about how life impacts each and every one of us in our own unique way. And just talking with her a little bit before I came out on tonight, she has an extraordinary story that I know is going to be a blessing for many of you watching. And she's on a faith journey right now that I know that a lot of you are going to be able to relate to. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Joni on out. Joni.
Hey.
What's going on?
Not much. How are you?
I'm amazing. How was your day?
My day was great. My day was good. I cannot complain at all.
Awesome. So, Joni, tell us a little bit about yourself.
That's a strong question. So I am a mom of 3 wonderful sons. They are grown sons, and I have 1 grandbaby. And just me doing life after cancer, just trying to figure things out in my own way, pretty much.
Yeah, so you're a grandma?
I'm a grandmother.
So what does your grandbaby call you?
I don't know yet. That's a funny story because at first I wanted mom, which I know that sounds crazy to most people, but my sons think it's funny to call me Granny. Okay, so I think what's gonna stick is Granny J.
Okay.
Believe it or not, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
compromise.
Yeah, no, I don't care what she calls me as long as she calls me something. That it's fine. She can't call me Joni, but I'm okay with Granny J. It is what it is, right? At first I was super opposed, but now I'm good.
So Joni, like looking at you, like for real, it's kind of hard to believe you got grandkids.
I know.
I mean, you look like amazing. Like,
okay, well, thank you. Thank you.
So how old are your kids?
So my oldest son is 32. My middle son is 29. And my youngest is 26. So my oldest is an electrician. My middle son is a firefighter, and my youngest son is a finance major. So I'm super proud of them. Super blessed. I thank God every day that He chose me to be their mother. So every day is a blessing with them, every single day.
I love how you said you thank God each day that He chose you to be their mom. That is like,
Absolutely.
that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
So you got some pretty good boys, huh?
I do. They're great. They are. They, I would say in their teenage years, of course, you being a male, you already know how you guys can get, right? So I'm not going to say that they didn't take me through some things, but hey, it is what it is. And I didn't raise them by myself. They have a wonderful father as well. So I can't take that away from him. But, they did take me through craziness from a time or two, but they also know that I'm crazy. So, I don't think they wanted the wrath of me to be on them most of the time. So, and the foundation of Christ is so important. So I made sure that was their foundation was Christ. So church often, at an early age, they gave their lives to Christ. So just really super, super blessed. And they still, are real active in the church right now. So yeah, it's amazing. I can talk about them all day. So they're good things. And I
So,
have,
John,
they're extending their family. So I have a beautiful daughter in love, and then I'm gonna get another daughter in love here in the future because my middle son just proposed. So I'm super
oh,
excited.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Congratulations. Middle
Hey.
kid, congratulations. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank
congratulations to
you.
you too, Johnny. We'll let you take the credit for it.
Right. Right. I do tell them often they're welcome. I'm like, you're welcome.
Buddy. So, Johnny, you have such an interesting story. So let's get on to it. So, what I want to
Yeah.
know, I know you shared with me that you were diagnosed with cancer November 2019.
Yes.
So, what did life look like for you before November 2019?
Oh, okay. So before November, I'm living life, loving life, healthy, work out all the time, eat right. Just, I like to say that I love to have fun. I would like to say that my friends would say that I love to have fun. Very energetic. I was married at the time, so we were just living life, empty nesters, just having a great time, great life. Um, Never any issues. I was never sick. Not even high blood pressure. No high blood pressure, no high cholesterol, no nothing. Like healthy. I'm healthy. I'm just going along in life thinking that everything is cool. No problems, whatsoever. So when I was diagnosed with breast cancer in November, when my doctor called me, I told her she had the wrong patient. So you got the wrong patient. It's not me. She was like, no, it's you. I have your name, your date of birth. This is you. Because again, I always prided myself in my numbers, and I always made sure that I had my physicals every year. That was all my physicals. That was my well woman's exam, mammogram, physical, had my blood work done every year. So I would know exactly where I was. So it came as a complete and utter shock that this was going to be my story. And we all run from cancer, right? So I didn't know a whole lot about oncology. I mean, when they said they told me that I had to go, and I never went to the doctor for anything other than birthing my children. I was never in the hospital. On occasion, you have your pneumonia, bronchitis, or whatever every now and then. So I never had to go to the doctor for anything. So when she starts rattling off all these doctors and the visits and what's going to happen, and I just was at a loss for words. I didn't know how to be. I didn't know how to act. I was a mess for just a few hours. But once I met with the doctor and she told me the plan, I went into fight mode and I didn't look back. after that. I said, okay, if this is what I'm going to do. And let me pause and say that when I did have the diagnosis and the day that the doctor told me all the ugly things, I went home and I cried and I asked God, why me? And he said, as we're talking, just like here, he said, why not you? Are you more important than somebody else? Would you rather me give it to somebody else? And in that moment is when I decided, okay, this is what I have to do. You're telling me I have to do this. So guess what? I just have to go with it and I just have to do it. And so, like I say, I went into fight mode after that. And I had, I started with the first surgery was they put a port in so that the chemo could be administered to me. The breast cancer was on my right side, so the port went on my left side. That was probably a little painful because, again, not sick or anything. I don't like needles. I don't like doctors, hospitals, none of that kind of stuff. So being cut on for the first time, and it was a little tiny incision. And then the first chemo, I had 8 rounds. My first round was after Thanksgiving. They let me make that decision. Now, I'll also back up and say that my form of cancer was triple negative. I was triple negative, which triple negative is when you don't have any hormone blockers. There was nothing blocking this cancer. Sometimes some cancers in women, some breast cancers, your hormones can slow down the progression of the cancer. I didn't have that privilege. It was just, I call it free radical in my body is what I like to call it. That's not the correct terminology for it, but that's what I call it. So there was nothing slowing it down. So meant it was an aggressive form of cancer. So, and I have mammograms every year. So the year prior, there was nothing there. They did all, and I usually do DITS, 3D mammogram, which I would encourage every woman of color to make sure that they get a 3D mammogram, because a lot of women of color have very dense breasts. So you don't always catch it with your normal mammogram screening. So after they did all of that, then that's when they decided what stage I was in. Thank God I was in stage 1. But again, whatever transpired in 1 year. So imagine had I waited and not had a mammogram that year and then follow, because you only do it once a year. And so then the next year comes around, I could have been stage 2, stage 3. You just never know. I did not know going into this what it would entail. We had a whole list of what I was going to have to do. But so when I come to grips with everything, of course, I call my mom, who is a prayer warrior. I mean, to tell you, she went in immediately. She hates Texas. She doesn't like traveling, but she came. She came to visit me, and she immediately started praying for me. I had so many people that prayed for me. I mean, people that I didn't even know. I have a huge family. My father was one of 18. And so I have a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles, and they all went in immediately, started praying for me. And so when I did my first treatment was okay. I slept probably for 48 hours. I was exhausted. Treatment number 2 was kind of the same. 3 was about the same. But what I started noticing was just the change in my body. My body has started to change because it's poison that they're pumping into your body, right? They told me I would lose my hair within 14 days of my first treatment. I said, not really, because I thought, I got that hair back from, slave times. So I kind of thought, it's not going to come out. I had when I tell you I could knit a sweater with my hair, that's how thick it was and strong. So I just didn't think that it would affect me. Just like clockwork, started coming out. I could sit here and just pull hair out by just the clumps. I laughed about it a lot. I made tons of videos. because that's how I coped with getting over, you know, losing me, losing myself, losing my hair, losing what it meant like to have life and to have fun. And like I say, before I got sick, I was always going and doing and being in the gym and just having a really good time, to on the sofa. I'm sick. I'm weak. I can't eat. I didn't have taste. So many things was going on in my body at the time. The poison turned my fingernails black. My fingernails, my toenails, my tongue, my gums got darker. So starting to lose my hair. Then the weakness came. This, I had to be pumped full of steroids. Then I gained weight. A lot of cancer patients will lose weight. I gained weight, but I ate all the time too. Once my taste buds were back, then I would eat. They wanted me to eat 3,000 calories a day. That's a lot of food.
A lot of food.
If I didn't, I would lose weight. So after my second treatment, that was probably the one that hit me a hard, not the hardest, but it hit hard. And I couldn't eat or anything. I had no taste for anything. So I had lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Now, that may not be a lot to some people, but it was a lot for me. And so when I went back to my doctor, they really encouraged me to eat. Didn't matter what I ate, just eat. So I found strength in McDonald's, believe it or not. McDonald's is disgusting and it is not healthy for you, but it gave me the strength that I needed to do whatever it was that I needed to do. So after treatment number 3, I learned how to kind of deal with the pain and the sleepiness. And I was still working out, mind you. I was still going to the gym, bald headed and all week, whatever. I would find the strength to kind of go and work out. Then the more chemo treatments I had, the worse it got. So remember I said I had 8. The first 4 treatments were, they call it the red devil. That's not the correct terminology for it, but a lot of cancer patients can relate. They call it the red devil. And let me tell you, it is the devil. It takes everything from you. It kills your good cells, bad cells. It's killing everything. As fast as you're reproducing, it's killing it, because it's trying to target and kill the cancer. So in January, I had to go and get another ultrasound in January. When I went, and remember I said I had praying mothers and everybody was praying for me. The doctors didn't know how this was going to pan out, what was going to happen. They said I was going to take medicine after and also have radiation. So in December, or end of December, early January, I can't remember which, I had an ultrasound of the same spot. The doctor, the radiology tech couldn't find the mass at all. Then she calls the doctor in, and the doctor says, I can't see it either. Neither one of them can see the mass. So I say all that to say prayer works, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm laying on the bed, and I'm an emotional wreck, because in November, it was, I don't know the centimeters, but it was big enough to where they could detect it. Fast forward 2 months later, they couldn't find it. So I always tell people, you can't tell me what God can't do and can't tell me that prayer doesn't work. I still had to continue the treatments or whatever, and still had to go through the surgeries, of course. So I had the red devil drug, which killed everything. Then my last 4 treatments was a different drug called Taxol, and it killed everything else that the first 4 treatments did not kill. My last 2 treatments, I thought I was going to die. I thought I have nothing else left in me. I can't eat. I would eat laying down. I couldn't. There were days I didn't shower. There were days I didn't brush my teeth. I'm not ashamed to say that. I was just too weak. And my bathroom was not too far from the bedroom. So I felt like I was going to pass out. And so I just kind of had to let that chemo subside. And once it ran through my system, then I could have a little bit of energy. But when your body is so beaten down, the more poison you're pumping into it, the weaker it's going to get. So my last chemo treatment, oh, and mind you, I went through the last treatment in the pandemic during COVID when everything shut down. So there's a whole panic mode for me because I'm in treatment. If we're shutting down, I can't get my treatment. So thankfully, I think we shut down March 20th or something like that. But they were talking about shutting down. I had my last treatment like March the 13th. So it was a week before they shut down. So again, it's nothing but God, right?
Yeah.
So did my last treatment. And I had to I had to have surgery in order to get the cut out where the mass was. So since they shut everything down, they rescheduled my surgery a couple of times. And not to go into too much detail about the differences between a lumpectomy and a mastectomy, that's also on my social media page. So if anybody wants to go and listen to that, you can. But I chose a double mastectomy, but I couldn't do that because we were in the pandemic. But they had to do a lumpectomy because they had to get rid of where the cancer was. So I went through that surgery. That was in April. And they told me that the double mastectomy was an elective surgery. Of course, I threw a fit because I'm like, this is my body. This is my life. You're telling me that it's elective when it's really not elective. I wanted to get rid of the breast tissue. That was the most important thing to me. So then I had to call the hospital. Like they knew who I was. I didn't have to tell them who I was. They were just like, okay. And at the time it was Eubanks. Okay, Miss Eubanks, we know. So I had to just keep calling once a week. Can I get has anyone scheduled my surgery? I'm put on hold for 30 minutes. Has anybody scheduled my surgery yet? No, it's still elective. And I would just call back. I don't care if it's elective. I don't care what the government has said. I want it and I want it now. So because I was persistent, finally they were like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and talk to your doctor and see if they'll go ahead and do it. They went ahead and they did it. So I had my lumpectomy in April, which was just operating on the breast that the cancer was in. And then in June, I did both. I did the big surgery and I was in the hospital for 5 days. No visitors because again, it was COVID. Only I could have one visitor at a time. And you couldn't stay long. I can't remember how long you could stay, but you couldn't stay long. And I do know that they cut off the visiting hours at 8 p.m. So mind you, I said I wasn't never sick, wasn't in the hospital except for having my children. This is the first time I was in the hospital alone. So that was tough because you're cut. I've never been really cut on. So now I did like a fat transfer. So I'm cut in so many different ways. Your body has to adapt to all of that. So I felt like, even though I was on pain meds, I felt like I had been ran over by a Mack truck. Like it was horrible. And then you're by yourself for so many hours of the day. So then, of course, going home, I was in the hospital, like I said, for 5 days. You go home with drains and you go home with all these instructions. And once I healed, and it took some time for me to heal, I had to sleep in a recliner because, again, you're cut. So I can't lay like everybody else can lay. And I had to make sure that the draining was done properly. So I slept in a recliner for weeks. I'm going to guess and say at least 6 weeks. But then even when I transferred from the recliner to the bed, I still had to be elevated and I still had to sleep on my back. I could semi-sleep on my side, but not comfortably. And then after that, they tell you to walk. That was tough, but I did it. So I walked every day. And coming from a person who works out a lot, I've done kickboxing, HIIT classes, ride bicycles, all of that. So for me to put one foot in front of the other was the most painful thing I'd ever done in life. So it just took some time. And to walk a mile was exhausting because I was tired, but I also, when you're operated on, you have incisions that you can't, you don't want those to burst or whatever, because they could have. My incisions could have ripped inside. And that was one of the things that the nurses and the doctors warned me about. Don't overdo it. Get your exercise, but don't overdo it, because you could bust a stitch and it could be internal and you won't know that you've busted a stitch. So fast forward, getting healed, getting better, working out yet again to get my body back to where it needs to be. So now, if I fast forward to today, the thing that I would say that's probably the worst, and which a lot of people don't understand, I had a friend of mine just tell me the other day, I was trying to explain to him that it's hard for me to do crazy things. I can't like stand for long, long periods of time without being in pain. And I don't say anything about it. I don't complain about it. It is what it is. And he kept telling me, well, why can't you do it? Why can't you do it? Well, I did have chemo and I was sick. And he apologized. He said, I'm so sorry. I forgot. He said, I really forgot. He said, because you don't act like it, you don't look like it. And that's a testimony. And I thank God for that every day. But it's the internal things that people don't see that chemo does to your body. It will destroy your body. I don't know how many women come forward and say, I can't do this or I can't do that. Because again, it's the shame. It's you don't want people to look at you any different, but you are different. You don't do things the same. You don't even act the same because it's a mental thing as well. I went through a, not a mental breakdown or anything like that, but I did go through some mental challenges that I kind of had to overcome. But I feel like having a strong family and having a great friends, they help propel me through that and help me push through all of that. People checking on me all the time, not allowing me to sink into any kind of abyss. And even still to this day, those same friends still call and check on me, making sure I'm good. But I would just say that after, I think life after can be great, but it does change you. And it changes you in different ways. But for me, I think the biggest thing that I can look at now is feeling like it has progressed some of the issues that I had before. I played sports all in high school, and so I've always been active, working out or whatever. And so if you have any kind of joint pain, any kind of broken bones or whatever, chemo is going to target that, and it's going to advance that, and it's going to make it worse. But like I say, I just listen. Give me some ibuprofen or some Advil, some Tylenol, and I'll be okay. But it's just I just have limitations, and I know those limitations. And some people say, well, it's because you're 51. But I'm like, I don't buy that, because before
Yeah.
cancer, there was no problems. And that when I was 47. So I was in great shape. I mean, maybe a minor knee injury, but that's just due from working out a lot, but nothing like what I experienced today.
Yeah.
But
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Mhm.
So you were, before you, found out about it and everything, you were good. You were
Yes.
working out, feeling amazing and everything, hitting the gym and everything. And I think there are a lot of women that are in those same shoes. They feel great, but from what I hear from some women, I guess they do the home mammogram. They feel around their breast. They don't feel nothing. They be like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. But
Yeah.
nothing was wrong with you, right? You
Nothing. Nothing. Matter of fact, I had just had my well woman's exam where she did feel, you go into your arm all the way around, your breast. She felt all of that in October. I was diagnosed in November. So she didn't feel it. I couldn't feel it. and the mass was sitting on an artery. So I don't know when I would have been able to know that there was something wrong until it grew, and was could have been, too late, because with each stage the treatment is more aggressive. So even though my diagnosis was aggressive, we just started sooner. But I may have had to have had more than 8 treatments. Some people do have to have more than 8 treatments. And thankfully, the cancer did not go into my lymph nodes. That's a whole nother scenario. Once it goes to your lymph nodes, it can go anywhere in your body. I mean, cancer can go anywhere in your body, really, but it's less likely to happen if it hasn't gone to your lymph nodes. So I feel like getting it caught early prevented it from spreading. And it was trapped in my milk ducts inside of my breast. I don't know if that's, from childbearing or what, just kind of never know. But the main thing is, I can tell anybody, is don't put it off. Whatever it is, take care of your body. I'm real big on making sure you know where you stand with everything. That's so important, and no different than a colonoscopy, no different than your yearly physicals that we put off. Just making sure that you take care. You only get one body. That's it. And so you want to make sure that you take care of that body.
Yeah. So let's talk about during, like, so when after the diagnosis and now you're living with it, how long did you go through that process before you were cancer free?
6 months. 6 months.
6 months?
6 months, because my treatment was every other Friday. And what a lot of people didn't know is after the second treatment, I knew what was coming. I would go to the bathroom and I would cry for 15 minutes before, because I knew what was happening. I knew what was going to I knew how I was going to feel when I was done. And like I said, I was always on the go, always busy. So I went from always on the go, always busy, to laying on the sofa, not being able to cook for myself, not being able to do my own laundry, didn't have hair, but just the things that you do on a normal basis. Watching your nails turn black when you're used to always making sure they're painted. It took a toll mentally. My face broke out.
Yeah.
I had severe acne with like the last couple of treatments. And also they give you this, I had to wear this, it was like a pump that they put on my stomach to produce white blood cells. Those are things that we do on a regular, but I as a cancer patient, your immune system is down. So they have to make sure that you're producing white blood cells to fight any infections, right? So when they do that, it's forcing platelets of white blood cells through your body. Super painful. Super painful. So let's say they would put that on me on a Friday after my treatment. By Saturday, 24 hours exactly, the pain would start. And it was bone pain. There's nothing you can do for bone pain. There's nothing you could do. After one of my treatments, I was in so much pain. I ended up going to the emergency room. And I just sat there, and I was in a knot because I was in so much pain. And because I'm a cancer patient, there's not much they can give me. And they let me know that they had to call my oncologist, make sure, that whatever it was they can give me. So they gave me morphine, and it lasted 15 minutes. 15 minutes enough for me to sleep, just to relax and not be all in a knot because I was in so much pain. So I call it 15 minutes of fame. So the 15 minutes I slept, and they gave me some more. I begged them to give me more just so I could go home and sleep. So they gave me some more, and then I had to take tramadol, which is kind of like, I call it like Tylenol. It's not very strong. So I was alternating all this medicine: tramadol, hydrocodone, and a leave like every so many hours just to keep on top of everything, like every so many hours, because I stayed in pain. They gave me steroids to help with the pain. The steroids made me gain a lot of weight. Like I feel like it's in my cells. Like it's like I just puffed up. So before the surgery, I looked like I was about 9 months pregnant. That's how I feel like I looked. Because of the steroids and because of just the result of the chemo and then eating like I had to. But at once your white blood count is good, then you feel a little bit better. So you have the pain from the chemo, and then I had the pain from the device that was giving me extra white blood cell count. And I apologize, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. I think I tried to forget about it because it was so painful. But after like I say, after the surgery and after getting all the chemo, then it was time for healing. And that was a long journey as well. It'll be 5 years this April. I had April 2025, it'll be 5 years for me. When I had my visit with my oncologist in August, and every year, every 6 months, I have to have a cancer scan. And that's so, while I have faith and know that God's going to take care of me, nothing made me feel easy or makes me feel easy every time I have to go. Sometimes I'll ask somebody to go with me. Sometimes I go by myself. But it's like I want somebody to hold my hand or want somebody to just be there with me, just because it's you're in your mind, you're alone anyway, because nobody knows the fear that comes in because you want a clean scan. So when I saw her in August, of course she said it was, I'm still cancer free. Praise God for that. And she said, which was the best news I have heard in a while, in April will be 5 years. So once I do my scan for her in April, I will not ever, ever have to go back. So I'm super thankful. So I said, definitely a celebration for that 5 years.
Yeah,
I want to
wow.
be in this line in diamonds with the number 5 on it or something. I mean, I don't know. But
Nice.
yeah. So I'm definitely I'm thankful for all that. I'm thankful for every day that God allows me to breathe and gives me the energy that I need to do whatever it is that I want to do. I feel like I didn't really miss a beat. Part of it was because of the pandemic. Everybody was in the house, like I was in the house, so I didn't have to worry about missing out on a whole lot of things. But that was my biggest prayer when I first started, that I didn't want to look like what I was going through, and I learned to embrace it. Like I say, with the bald head, I didn't know how to be without hair, and I decided to do a photo shoot. And still to this day, I still get people complimenting me on, the photos. And, one of the biggest compliments was like, "Oh my God, you look great bald." And that sounds funny. Well, maybe not to you, but, but for me, I didn't know how to be. And so I bought a couple of wigs, but I don't like wigs. So that was really weird for me. I didn't like them, and I just said I'm just gonna rock it and go without. And if people stare and they ask questions, and I did have people that would I had one person in particular. I was in Target one day, and she was just like, "Oh my God, you look amazing. You have a light around you." And that, little things like that,
Yeah.
made me feel really, really good. And I just kind of walked out like, okay, this is not so bad after all. But I still have, I have a good circle around me. So not one time did anybody that knows me and that was around me was not positive. everybody was cheering for me, wanting me to pull through, get through it. And so I just felt so much love during that time, from meals that were dropped off at the house to the phone calls, emails, text messages. I had one girlfriend who would call and just tell me jokes. We would laugh. She never once asked me how I was feeling. She called me, well, I ain't gonna say what she called me, but she had a nickname for me. And she would, whenever I would pick up the phone, she would always call me by that nickname. And I would just, we would just go in and she would just tell me she's a comedian. So we would just laugh. And so
Yeah.
for a moment, it made me forget whatever it was that was happening, whether I was in pain, whether I was weak. But I feel like sometimes as women, we do not share enough of what bothers us and what hurts us. And I just said, I'm going to stop doing that. If I'm hurting, most of the people around me know, I'm like, I'm just hurt today, but I'm
Yeah.
still going to keep going. I'm still going to do what I got to do,
Yeah.
not going to let it stop me.
Wow. One of our faithful viewers here, Pat,
Mm.
she's a cancer survivor and everything. And
Okay.
she
Praise
said that
God.
red devil was hell. And I had
Yes,
to
I
go
see
back
that.
the next day for a shot because of my low
Yes.
blood count.
I
Yeah.
can relate to that, Pat. You know how the red devil can affect you. It is hell, and I hate it for anybody that has to go through it. And the shot. So I know about the shot. Um, I couldn't get the shot because my appointments were on Fridays. So the clinic was closed on Saturdays. You would have to go back on the very next day to get the shot. So that's why I had to wear the patch. Um, so once I started doing my treatments on Fridays, I just kept them on Fridays. It was just best for people that had to transport me back and forth from treatment back to home or whatever. So and I didn't know that it was going to be that much pain. I just had no. I mean, I heard people say it, but I didn't know what to expect. Um,
Mm,
so I just, again, just stayed in prayer most of the time. I didn't really like sleeping in my bed during that time. I slept on the sofa that was comfortable for me. And I had it in the wintertime. So I would sleep with the window open because something about the fresh air, the cold fresh air, just helped with the pain. That sounds crazy, but that's kind of what helped me get through some of those painful days.
we have two more comments here. Let's see. So Pat came back and said, "Oh my God, I'm with you on that. It takes a long time to heal. We had surgery during the
Mm.
same time, and my doctor sent me to Flower Mound to have the surgery. Oh, I was 62, but God brought me out. And Pat is one of the people I would call her to check up on her and everything. And you get
Okay.
off the phone, and Pat is encouraging you. And I never forget when she had to shave her hair. She went through that
Yeah,
whole process that you went, and she
yeah,
was just like rocking it. It was like,
yeah,
okay, this is
yeah.
life right now. So she
Hey,
went through it.
yeah. We do it because we know that we have to. So but Pat, I'm glad to know that you are doing great now. And I'm sure you are beautiful at 62. So I thank God for you and thank God for fighting. Glad that you fought.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah. So who was your doctor, Pat, if you don't mind me asking you,
Yeah, put that in the comments, Pat.
please?
And then while
Uh,
we're doing that, Marquita said, it's
Marquita.
scary. I remember at one time I had to go every 6 months just for mammograms.
Yeah.
I think that's what it says,
Yeah,
just to
just
ensure they actually didn't see anything. Oh, wow.
every 6 months because especially if, and this is why I was saying about having the 3D mammograms, because if you have dense breasts, sometimes they can't see everything. So it's best to tell, and a lot of people say, well, my insurance won't cover it. Yes, they will. You have to tell them that you want the 3D mammogram. They're not going to offer it to you because it's obviously it's more. So you have to request the 3D mammogram.
So, Joni, tell me this here. So, when you're going through this and you're living with it, the mental health side of it, I know that has to be like because we've seen so many people, and thank God for advancement with medicine and all of that. But in my younger years, I saw so many people dying from cancer, and it was sad to really watch them go through that process. So of course there's been some advancement with medication, but when you were living with it, like, how did that weigh down on your mental health? Like, each and every day living with this, that you don't know if it's going to go away at that time. How was that for you?
That was tough. So, and again, it was prayer. That's all. I can't say nothing else but prayer and friends and family to push you through it, because you will get in your own head. It's easy to slip and be fearful of, what if this doesn't work? What if I have to do radiation? What if it has spread? What if I have to have more chemo? Because even though it was only 8 sessions, that was the beginning. If it didn't shrink like they wanted it to, they're going to add more chemo sessions. They're going to add radiation. But again, I didn't have to have any of those things. But mentally, it's very tough. You're constantly fighting. Because cancer is mental. I used to hear that a lot, but I didn't really understand what that meant. You have to stay positive. You have to have positive people around you, because it will take you down real fast, because of all the negative connotation that's behind cancer, because of you not feeling well, or because, well, what if it doesn't go away? What if you don't make it? I had a couple of people that would say, "Oh my gosh, I know so and so, and they died." Oh, okay, well that's
Really?
oh yeah, I did a couple of times. And those are the kind of people that I didn't want to talk to and that I wouldn't talk to, because I get it. They're worried, but you just kind of don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's fight is different. But as far as the mental, what I will say even about the mental part of it is, because I am a strong person, I'm strong-willed and strong-minded, I fought through it. But then after, that's when it hit me. And my breast surgeon, who is amazing, I love that man. He is great. But he told me during the chemo treatments, he was like, "Okay, right now you're fighting physically." He said, "But you're about to have the hardest mental fight of your life." He said, "I want you to be prepared." And I was like, "Not me. I'm strong. Just like my hair. I'm strong. It's not coming out." So after the treatments, after the surgeries, that's when the mental started hitting. That's when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, "I am not the same person." That's when you're thinking, "Now I have to do this and I have to do that." And one other thing they really don't tell you about during it is chemo brain. You forget things. You have fog. You think that somebody will tell you something and they'll say, "I told you that yesterday or day before." "I forgot. I don't remember. Didn't know that you told me that." So that's all a part of your mental well-being. So I took off work for a while. I took off work for at least nine months. I could have taken off a little bit longer. But I took off to kind of regroup and to regain what had just happened. Because again, I went into fight mode and I didn't look back. Once I knew I had a fight ahead of me, I just went full speed ahead. I didn't think about a whole lot of things. I didn't Google anything. I would also tell anybody that is, if you're being diagnosed, don't Google anything. Please don't do that, because there's so much information out there. Rely on your doctors, your nurses to tell you everything that they need to tell you. God rolled out the red carpet for me. And again, I knew nothing about oncology. I knew nothing about breast cancer. I'd seen people go through it, but I'd never really researched it. But I had great doctors, great nurses. So I didn't have to like fight that way. But the mental aspect of it was pretty tough afterwards. But you just, again, like I say, if you have, strong faith and you have good friends and family around you, call on them, call on the person who is the strongest, and it's going to help get you through that tough time.
Wow. Wow. And Marquita came back and she said when she was going through that whole going every 6 months, that was during the time she was in her early 40s at that time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow. And
Okay.
then Pat said her doctor's name is
Oh, Anita. Okay. Never heard of her, but okay. Okay.
okay. And then she came back and said cancer is expensive and 3D was not covered by insurance. Faith to God kept me. I had 17 rounds, oh wow, of chemo and 30 days of radiation. I
Mm,
never thought about dying until it was all over.
yeah.
Stay
See,
strong.
that's the mental part. That's the mental part of it. And I hate to hear that about insurance because I'm just real big on call them again. Call them again. They're going to tell you, no, this, call them again. And whatever you have to tell them. And that may not be with every insurance, but I know the majority of them, they're going to deny it first and they're going to tell you no, but get on the phone. You get on the phone. Do not expect the clinic to do it for you. You get on the phone, you talk to your insurance and demand that they tell you why that it's not covered.
So you said earlier, and we're talking about the aftermath of chemo and so forth. You were saying like, whatever, if there was any type of ailment before, it progresses it. So, and now, of course, you shared earlier that you're 51. Do you find yourself extending grace to yourself, like because maybe you can't do the stuff, or you hard on yourself because you can't do it anymore?
I'm hard on myself. I don't know. I say I can do this. I can do this. I'm going to do this. No, I don't really extend grace to myself in any kind of way. And because I think for me, whether it's a crazy thing, it's me giving up. It's me saying, I can't do it because of something. I just know that it's there and I push through it. And however that looks like, if that means that I push through it for today and then tomorrow I'm taking 4 ibuprofens every 6 hours, then that's what it is. But no, I don't extend grace to myself. I don't, because I don't like excuses, and so sometimes I feel like I would make that's me making an excuse. Now there are days when my body just gives out. I will say that there are days when I just want to stay in the bed all day, and I do that, and I will do that. I'll just be at home in the bed, resting, sleeping. Um, Whatever that looks like, that's pretty much what I do. But no, I usually push through it, and
Okay.
there's no grace allowed for myself.
So let me ask you this here. So what's next for you? Like, so where do you go from here? What does life look like for you?
So I have always wanted to do more for other cancer patients. That is going to happen. How it's going to happen, I'm not sure what that looks like. I don't know. But I know what God has birthed in me and what He's put in my heart to do, and I will do it for other cancer patients, whatever that is that they need from me. And however that looks, I don't know exactly how to make it work and make it happen, but
Yeah.
it's going to happen because there are so many people um, that are out there and they're doing this by themselves. And I really want them to know I'm here for them, whatever that looks like. I had a really dear friend of mine. Um, God rest her soul. She has since passed, but she would call me. She called me at one point and was asking me all about chemo. Now her cancer was different, but she was asking me all about chemo. I was determined to be there for her when she went through her chemo treatments. I attended 2 of them with her, but she was allergic to the chemo. So she couldn't get the chemo, but it was a joy to go and be there with her. We laughed, we talked. I sang to her, even though I cannot sing at all. But anything to make her laugh, she got a kick out of that. Um, she called me Jones. She would say, Jones, you can't sing, but I would sing for her anyway. And I miss her all the time. She was just a beautiful person. But that kind of solidified what I know I need to do. And because it's a sad thing to go in and see people in so much pain and weak, no hair. I mean, so many things I've seen since I've been there, since I was there. I just really would love to be that light for somebody else that's going through it, whatever, if whatever that light looks like. I don't know what God wants me to do with that, but I know that it's something, and I'm determined to get it done. And it's past time. I think I shared a little bit earlier about it.
Yeah,
Thanks
trying to
for putting
pass
me on the
time.
spot. You put me on the spot with that one, but that's okay.
So y'all, I'm about to be getting on her nerves because anybody who know me know, like I'm all about seeing everybody accomplish their purpose in life and their
Yeah.
calling in life. So, and, I think you're already on your way. And you and I, we talked a little bit about this earlier. Is because when we go through things, I think a lot of times when we're in it and it's real time, it almost seems like God is punishing us. But it's like it's a greater cause for it,
Yeah.
but it's hard to get to that place. You only see that after you come out on the other side, like what
Yeah.
was the reasoning for it. But I just encourage people, if you've been through something, share your story. Be
Yes,
that light
absolutely.
for someone else because someone else is wearing the shoes you just
Yes.
took off. So
Oh,
be that light for
yeah.
them to know that, hey, things are going to get better for me.
Yeah.
It's going to work out. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
I,
love how
I
you're
like I
using your
like that.
story there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. They're wearing the shoes that you just took off. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
But we,
Because
we, we, we really don't see that a lot of times, but
yeah.
I think you have grasped it. I think
Mhm.
honestly, and this is just from you and I talking earlier, that it's a bigger purpose for your story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just going to create a stage for you to shine. And I can't wait to watch it. And I'm gonna be there to keep bugging you until it's on
Right.
your stage.
Do that, okay? Do that. Like I said, I do have a few friends who have said it like often. And I mean, and I know I have to do it, because at this point, if I don't do anything, then I have been put on notice that it is disobedient, being disobedient to God. And that's definitely, I don't want that. I don't want the wrath of him on me. Because it's, even if you can just help one person, just helping one person, I really definitely want to do that.
And Johnny, if went out the window when you met me at 6:30. It's no more ifs. It's when I do it. It's no longer if I do
Right.
it. See,
It's
we
when I do it.
and
You're
I
okay.
sit up and I listen to her. Y'all, this was so funny. I was just sitting here just like, God knows this is exactly how I was thinking. Johnny was like, yeah, and I met this person, and because of that, I'm meeting you now, and nothing happens by chance. I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
That's how I live my life daily, that we don't know who God is, who we're connected with. We don't know who they are in our future. So
Mhm.
you have to treat everything with care because we meet, nothing's by accident,
No.
nothing's by chance. It is a reason for everything. So Joni, all of this if stuff, it ended at 6:29:59.
Right. So Nadia Goodwin, you are 100% correct. Yes,
And like
put
you
me on
tell
the
your
spot.
sons, I'm gonna tell you, you're welcome.
Right. Yeah, in the near future, I kind of feel like I'm going to be hearing that for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
For sure, I'm
yes.
going to be hearing it.
So Joni, tell us again. Well, you tell us where can we follow you and everything. So of course on Instagram, and where else can we follow you?
Yeah, that really, it's Instagram. I don't have a YouTube yet.
Yet.
That's coming yet. But Instagram is J Rochelle 40. Facebook is just Joannie Campbell. And then TikTok is Joannie Campbell EU. So just feel free to follow me, and I'm going to be posting some really great things. And inbox me, ask me any kind of there's no question that I will not answer. because I've said before, as females, we don't share enough. We are, sometimes it's like we're forced to be shamed, because I had that conversation not too long ago about being shamed of certain things. And that's just who we are as women, especially bald. I didn't have an issue being bald. At first it takes you back because you don't know what you're going to look like. But then I just embraced it. What is it that Miss Patricia said? Thank you. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you for praying for me, and I will in turn pray for you. So I appreciate your kind words. That's so nice. Thank
Wow.
you so much.
Joanie, thank you for coming on and sharing
Thank
your
you for having
story.
me. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me, for
I'm
sure.
excited about the future. So y'all
Yeah.
make sure y'all go and follow Joanie because
Yeah.
she's launching some new stuff starting tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna bring you on my page in the near future.
I'm there. Anything I can do to help, I'm
Okay.
there. But
Okay.
guys, we will see you. I will see you guys next Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you tune in. Got some good stuff coming this season. And until then, peace.
Bless you guys. Mwah.